What people don't realize is that the most dangerous part of being a CIA officer isn't actually the assignment. It's not actually the mission. It's the fact that you're executing a mission undercover. And all undercover means is that you have to live, act, and operate like an everyday person. It's much more dangerous what you sign your credit card receipt, what name you use when you sign your credit card receipt, than it is that you're going to get caught or captured or shot. In order for you to get caught, captured, or shot, there has to be a colossal failure on multiple fronts. But getting mugged, having a car accident, getting into a fender bender, having your driver's license not match up in their back end records, that's the stuff that's really dangerous for an everyday person. So a large amount of CIA training isn't dedicated to top secret stuff. It's dedicated to how do you optimize your performance as a human being? How do you sleep well? How do you have a good memory? How do you keep yourself physically fit without looking like a physical threat, right? And there was so much value for me when I went through CIA that when I came out and I realized that nobody else had ever disclosed these tactics, these techniques, these processes that aren't classified. America's heroes don't look like they look in the movies.
No.
They don't. And I love and hate that. I love that because it means that our true American heroes are out there operating and nobody realizes it. Mm-hmm. But I hate it because it means that all those people out there, all those everyday people who don't look like a Division I footballer, don't look like a water polo varsity player, they think that there's something wrong with them because they're balding, because they have, their index finger is mutated and shorter than their other index finger, whatever. They have a spare tire. They think that they're not good enough. Mm-hmm. They have ADHD, so they would never be an elite operator. They don't understand. They don't realize that America's heroes look like the everyday person.
Yeah.
They have a few extra pounds. They have a little bit of gray in their beard. They don't have perfect vision. They stutter over their words. They don't know, math in their head. That's exactly why they can blend in everywhere and do amazing things.
Yeah.
Because your Pierce Brosnans and your Daniel Craigs of the world, they wouldn't get 5 feet before somebody looked at them and accused them right away of being a spy or a SEAL, and they would never get a chance to do anything important.
The culture we're in creates an environment that forces a lot of people to accept mundane jobs, mundane lives, but most people, at least most people I know, don't want to be mundane. They feel trapped. What would you say to, through your training and through this, the stuff you guys do at Everyday Spy, to someone that feels like they're trapped in the mundane, but want to escape that and be the people they were created to be?
So the sense of feeling trapped psychologically, the way that the brain interacts with that feeling of being trapped, it's not about being stuck. It's about not having what we call momentum. Now, CIA operations are all built around momentum. We believe, because of psychological research, that when the brain believes that it has progressive success, it has more tenacity, it has more grit.
Yeah.
Right? Anybody who's ever been in a firefight, they usually talk about the fact that there's a time when the firefight changes, the momentum shifts, and your goal is to try to get the momentum back, because then there's just a morale lift, and with that lift in morale, there comes a lift in capability, a lift in capacity, a lift in skills. There's all sorts of phenomenal research out there that talks about it. So when people feel stuck, what they're actually feeling is a lack of momentum. So the way that CIA teaches us to fix that is to start pursuing small victories. If you're feeling stuck in your career, you need to pursue small victories. Small victories at work, yes, but also small victories in your relationship with your wife, small victories in your relationship with your kids, small victories in the gym, small victories in your diet, because small victories start to multiply and they start to create momentum, and that momentum starts to physically change the chemistry in your brain, the cortisol, dopamine, adrenaline balances, so that now all of a sudden you have more confidence, you're willing to take more risks, and risks are what you have to take to get more victories, right? So it's this compounding process. It's not a hard process, but it's a process that requires consistency and follow through.
Intentionality.
And that's all it is. So if you feel stuck in your relationship, you feel stuck being single, if you feel stuck because you can't lose those 10 pounds, all you're really feeling is a lack of momentum. And as soon as you can build some kind of momentum, you will find that you'll break out of that stuck position very quickly. Not to mention the fact that as you exercise in any kind of area of improvement, whether it's physical improvement or wealth improvement or mental health improvement, any kind of improvement anywhere, you start to have more chemical triggers that fire in your brain that make you believe the next level is achievable. Whereas when you have no victories, the opposite happens. And the cortisol starts to make you believe that change is impossible.
Outstanding. Yeah, that's a really good answer. I mean, and I couldn't align with that more. I mean, like for me, like especially if I'm getting down, like I have a heavy job, you do too. Like, man, I have to start. I have to like, okay, let me hit the pause button. I feel myself getting down, getting drugged down. Let me go get some little wins in my life, like fitness. Fitness is, and we, resiliency. We talk about the 4 pillars of resiliency, and I'll break it down like that now that I'm aware of this. I have to have a mental victory. I have to have a physical victory. I have to have a social, like with my circle of people. Like I have to be in strong relationship. I check on that, and then spiritually, like I have to be, reground myself with my faith and my relationship with God. Like all those things, like I'd have to have those little victories, and it brings a confidence back over me. And I'm like, all right, I'm back. Like, let's do it.
Yeah, it gives you that context again. It gives you that reset. You start to see what you really value. One of my favorite things to do whenever I'm struggling with career, with business, with finances, whenever I feel myself struggling at all, one of the first places I go for a little victory is I go to my wife. Mm-hmm. And I'll just go to my wife and I'll try to have an interesting conversation. And that's it. It could be about current events. It could be about the kids. It could be about something I'm proud of in my daughter's art, or I'm proud of with my son's reading. It could be anything, right? Mm-hmm. But what I find is if I take something to my wife, a small relationship victory with the person who's dedicated their life to you is not hard to achieve. If anything, the reason you don't feel a victory with your spouse is because you're on 2 different tracks and you're not communicating the things that you both agree on, because it's automatic. It's automatic. Of course, your wife thinks that you're handsome. You know that you think your wife is beautiful. So you don't ever say that because it's automatic. But if you need a victory, if you need to build some momentum, it's not that hard to go up and be like, hey, I just want you to know that you're beautiful. And that's going to change her entire day. And she's going to look back and she's going to do something. She's going to say something, even if it's a joke like my wife, who would just say, shut up, right? Mm-hmm. You know that they're acknowledging what you just said. You'll see that smile, you'll see that twinkle in their eye, and all of a sudden there's a victory. And then maybe they'll say something to you that lifts you up. Mm-hmm. And then you'll be able to talk about what's frustrating you at work. And then all of a sudden you feel release, you feel a vent, you feel connected with your partner. And that might be all it takes for you to be like, oh, I just had an idea that's going to fix my problem.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, one of the things that I've noticed about myself and other people, like people are innately like self-critical. Like if we believe, like if anybody really knew me, if anybody knew what was like in my heart, in my mind, like I feel like almost like a fraud, and people like really have this self-deprecating mentality. It's worse than others. But it becomes like a spiral, like demise that people have, and they compare themselves to other people. So they're looking at Andrew and they're hearing you on the show, and they're like, "Man, Andrew's so smart. He comes from the CIA. He has all these great natural gifts and talents. He has beautiful hair, like all this stuff, right?" And but that's not me. Like I can never do that. But you say something that people are wired for success. I often say people are created to be world changers and kingdom builders. Like as someone that's a Christian, and I believe we were created a certain way. How can we tap into fundamentally knowing that we were created for something more? We were wired for something more. We don't have to compare ourselves to others. It's within us. We just have to find it.
So I love this because this is a fantastic question that intersects faith and physics, essentially, right? Sure. So physically, psychologically, the average person has 60,000 negative thoughts a day. Just think about that for a second. Right? 60,000 negative thoughts in a day. My kids are getting sick. I'm not good enough. My hair's turning gray. 60,000 negative thoughts. Approximately 57,000 of those thoughts are self-critical. That means 3,000 negative thoughts about others, 57,000 negative thoughts about yourself. That's how we're wired. CIA loves that because it's very easy to manipulate people when you know how much they think down about themselves. Right? But spiritually, we know that God has given us all our own spiritual gift. Mm-hmm. We all have a gift from God, right? And they're outlined in the Bible and they're preached about. And we know some of us are giving, and some of us are teachers, and some of us are stewards and shepherds. Mm. We have spiritual gifts. And those spiritual gifts were granted and ordained to us. The problem is, because we are a secular society, we were never taught how to find our spiritual gift, right? There's a fantastic educational element that's out there in the world of self-improvement and self-optimization called unique ability. Each person has a unique ability in the secular world. That unique ability is almost a one-to-one connection with your spiritual gift. So if we would just be willing to teach people about their spiritual gift when they're kids, help them find it when they're teenagers, help them embrace it when they're in college, mature it when they're professionals, right? Tap into your spiritual gift. That is what the commercial sector calls your unique ability. That is the fount of all of your energy and all of your success. I agree with you 100%. We were built to be kingdom builders because the Father built us in his image.
Yeah.
He built worlds. He built a universe. We are all ordained to build something. And when we let ourselves feel like we can't, that's just the voice of the enemy.